Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Suresh Kumar Joseph from SMK Ulu Kinta. My topic today will be about homeostasis. Okay, let us look at the notes first before we discuss the questions. Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Suresh Kumar Joseph from SMK Kinta. My topic today will be about homeostasis. Okay, let us look at the notes first before we discuss the questions. Okay, now let us look at the definition of homeostasis here. Homeostasis refers to the regulation of physical and chemical factors in the internal environment within normal range for cells to function optimally. And the mechanism involved is negative feedback mechanism. Right? So when we say physical factors and chemical factors, these are the physical factors and chemical factors. So the physical factors will be temperature, blood osmotic pressure, and also blood pressure. While for chemical factors, it will be mineral concentration, blood sugar concentration, and also pH value. Okay, basically there are four types of regulation here that you have to know. Okay, we have blood temperature regulation, blood glucose regulation, partial pressure of carbon dioxide regulation, and blood pressure regulation. So these four types of regulation are assisted by different systems. Okay, let's see. For blood pressure, the system involved are integumentary system, nervous system, circulatory system, muscular system. For blood glucose regulation, we have circulatory system, endocrine system, and digestive system. Okay, for the regulation of partial pressure of carbon dioxide, we have respiratory system, nervous system, and circulatory system. While for blood pressure regulation, we have nervous system and circulatory system. Alright, if you notice carefully, circulatory system is involved in all these four regulations. Alright, okay, let us look at the first regulation, which will be the body temperature regulation. Alright, now, so changes in the body temperature is detected by thermoreceptors located in the skin and hypothalamus. So at high temperature, okay, the enzymes in the cells may be denatured. Alright, so the physical processes, the chemical processes in the cell may not occur properly. And if low temperature, that will slow down the metabolic activity in the cells. Alright, so now I have already given you a table here. If you notice carefully, this table here. So high temperature and low temperature. Now you just have to understand only one regulation, either high or low, because they are actually in the opposite ways of regulating it. Okay, let's look at the first one. I'm going to focus on low temperature. Alright, so we're going to focus on the erector muscle, skeletal muscle, sweat glands, skin arterioles, as well as our thyroid and adrenal gland. Okay, let's look at the first one, erector muscle. Erector muscle is the muscle which is attached to the hair follicle on the skin. Alright, at low temperature, the erector muscle contracts. Okay, so therefore the hair will stand upright. Right, thick layer of air will be trapped. Therefore, less heat is lost from the body. Therefore, it keeps our body warm. Alright. Okay, next one. Skeletal muscle. So there will be more contraction and relaxation, causing shivering. Alright. Therefore, more heat is generated to keep our body warm. Okay, the sweat gland obviously is not stimulated, therefore we will not be sweating. Talking about low temperature. Alright, next one, skin arterioles. So the arterioles will constrict or undergo vasoconstriction. Okay, so less blood flows to the skin, therefore less heat is lost by radiation. Another way of understanding it, more heat is kept in the body to keep the body warm. Right? Adrenal gland and thyroid gland, okay, these two glands will be more stimulated. Therefore, the adrenal gland will be secreting more adrenaline and thyroid gland will also. So when you have these two hormones, the rate of metabolism increases. Okay, therefore more glycogen will be converted to glucose, and that glucose will be oxidized to produce more energy. Therefore more heat is generated to keep our body warm. Okay, so we have done this part. Now let us look at blood sugar or glucose regulation. Okay, so this is regulated by pancreas. Okay, inside the pancreas we have Langerhans cells. There are two types of cells. One is alpha Langerhans and the other one is beta Langerhans. So obviously these Langerhans cells, they secrete insulin and glucagon. So insulin and glucagon are hormone. Okay, alright, and look at this one, a simple equation here. Glucose will be converted to glycogen by insulin, while glycogen will be converted to glucose by glucagon. Alright, now look at this table here. High blood glucose and low blood glucose. Alright, so when the blood glucose level increases in the blood, alright, beta islets of Langerhans will be stimulated to secrete insulin. Okay, so excessive glucose converted to glycogen, and also the excessive glucose will be converted to fat. So when the excess glucose becomes fat or glycogen, so the level of glucose will decrease in the blood back to normal. Okay, when the blood glucose level is low, alright, alpha Langerhans will be stimulated. Therefore, glucagon will be secreted. Glucagon is a hormone. Okay, it will be secreted. So, more glycogen will be converted to glucose. Okay. Now, this one is not glycogen, it's supposed to be glucagon. Please make the correction. Glucagon. So, the glucagon breaks down fat into fatty acids. So, the fatty acid will be converted to energy. So, when we have low blood sugar, we still have energy. So, you won't be fainting. Okay, you won't faint easily because you still have the energy there. Alright. Failure in insulin production will lead to high blood glucose, which is also known as diabetes mellitus. So how can we control diabetes mellitus? One, by taking insulin injection, right? So that will help to regulate the high blood glucose level. Or you also can take pills to lower your blood sugar level. I think you know that. And the third one will be by following a proper diet. Proper diet here means we take diet, okay, we reduce our sugar intake. Could be our carbohydrate or also the types of food that contains a lot of sugar. We try to reduce it. So that will help to lower down the sugar in the body. Okay, back to, I mean, it will keep the sugar in a balanced state. Okay, all right. Next one, blood pressure regulation. So this blood pressure regulation is detected by baroreceptor, or also known as pressure receptor, okay, which is found in the aortic arc and also the carotid artery. Okay, all right. So this blood pressure regulation is regulated by the cardiovascular control center in the medulla oblongata. Okay. What happens when the blood pressure decreases? So the baroreceptors will be less stimulated, right? Therefore, cardiovascular control center will be less stimulated. Vasoconstriction occurs. Okay, so blood flow in the bloodstream increases. All right. Okay, sorry, blood flow to the blood stream will be more, there will be more restriction to the blood flow, right? So therefore, contraction of cardiac muscle will increase. Okay, this is during when the blood pressure decreases. Now what happens when the blood pressure increases? Obviously the opposite is going to happen. So baroreceptors will be more stimulated. Okay, cardiovascular control center will be more stimulated, right? Vasodilation occurs. Okay, resistance to blood flow in the blood system decreases. That means more blood will be flowing. Therefore, contraction of cardiac muscle will also decrease. There's no stress there. There's no tension there because it's like back to normal. Slowly it comes back to normal. Okay. Last one we're going to focus is our partial pressure of carbon dioxide. Okay. This is regulated by the respiratory control center in medulla oblongata. Okay. So, vigorous activity increases the cellular respiration, obviously, right? So, when you do vigorous activity, the partial pressure of carbon dioxide will also increase, alright? So, carbon dioxide will dissolve in the moisture or water to form carbonic acid, that's carbonic acid, which breaks down to hydrogen ion and bicarbonate ion. Okay, so when you have hydrogen ion there, the blood pH value will decrease. Okay, meaning becomes more acidic. So this will be detected by central chemoreceptors in medulla oblongata and also the peripheral chemoreceptors in the neck. Alright, so what will happen next? Rapid contraction and relaxation of intercostal muscle, diaphragm and cardiac muscle. So therefore, our breathing rate, ventilation rate, heartbeat rate will also increase. So therefore, more carbon dioxide will be expelled from the lungs. Right? Alright, now let us look at some of the questions. Okay, let us look at the first question here. Homeostasis is the process of regulating the factors in the internal environment so that it is always suitable for the survival of the cells. Okay, that's the statement. Now, state the factors involved. Give one example for each factor. So, I already give you the guidance here. So, the first thing you have to do is name the factors. So, what are the factors? The factors are physical factors and chemical factors. I already gave you the notes earlier. Alright. So next, give one example factor. Example of physical factor is temperature or blood osmotic pressure or blood pressure. You just have to give one. Example of chemical factor is pH value, mineral concentration, blood glucose or blood sugar concentration. Right. Okay, the next one. Diagram 1 shows the section through the human skin. So we can see clearly here, we have P, Q and R. Okay, now explain how structures P, Q and R are involved in regulating the body temperature in a normal range when surrounding temperature decreases. Okay, surrounding temperature decreases. Okay, here the guidance tips. Okay, name P since they want you to explain about P, Q, R. So you have to name P, Q and R. Okay, P. Name P. Right. P is the sweat gland. Okay, next. P when temperature decreases. Okay. P is not stimulated. Okay, the sweat gland will not be stimulated. So there is no sweating. Okay, no sweating occurs. Okay, next. Q is the hair follicle. Okay, we know that's the hair follicle. So what happens to Q when temperature decreases? Erector muscle contracts. Okay, so the erector muscle will contract. That's the erector muscle. I told you earlier, erector muscle is the muscle that is attached to the hair follicle there. Alright, so that erector muscle will contract. So therefore, Q stands upright, meaning the hair follicle will be away, far away from the surface of the skin. So what is the effect? Q traps thick layer of air. That means the hair follicle will trap a thick layer of air. So less heat is lost from the skin, right? So you have less heat is lost from the skin, so more heat is retained in the body to keep us warm. Okay, next one. Okay, now let us look at R. Now, R is arteriole. So what happens to the arteriole when the temperature decreases? So R undergoes vasoconstriction. Okay, so how is this going to help in regulating the body temperature? Less blood flows to the skin. So what's the effect? Less heat is lost by radiation. So meaning more heat is retained in the body to keep us warm. Right. The next question, compare the regulation of high blood sugar level and low blood sugar level. So when it says compare, you have to write similarity and differences. So for similarity, you start by writing and followed by the word both. Okay, so both controlled by pancreas, we saw in the notes earlier. Okay, both regulated by hormones. So we have glucagon, we have insulin. Right, next. Both require Langerhans cells to produce hormone. Earlier we saw we have alpha Langerhans and beta Langerhans. Right, for differences, okay, you can write in a table. But bear in mind, you have to differentiate the same aspect. Meaning the left and right has to be about the same point, right? And then you have to write in a complete sentence, right? So differences, table. So high blood sugar level, low blood sugar level. So the high blood sugar level, the alpha Langerhans are stimulated, while for low blood sugar level, beta Langerhans are stimulated, right? Here insulin is secreted, while the other one, for low blood sugar level, glucagon is secreted. For high blood sugar level, excess glucose is converted to glycogen. While for low blood sugar level, glycogen converted to glucose. Right. Okay. That is all. I hope you understood what I explained just now. So thank you so much everyone. All the best.
Hi student, good day. I'm Puan Saraswati Selvaraj. I'm from SMK Mengelembu. So today I'm going to teach you mechanism of locomotion in animal. Now let me start with fish. Fish are under endoskeleton, where the fish can able to swim. So the fish, they have a pair of myotom block muscle, and these muscles will be worked antagonistically. Let's see the cross section of the fish. So if we look at here, the fish, you can see the patterns of the myotom block muscles here. This is the myotom block muscles. They does not have a specific name. So all the muscles of the fish are consist of myotom block muscle. So the fish can only able to move or the swim in two sides. One is on the right hand side, the other one is on the left hand side. So if you see here, let's say the fish move to the right hand side, see here. So what happened to the myotom block muscles? So the line that I draw is vertebrae column and they are covered with a myotom block muscle. So when they move to the right hand side, the right muscle will be contract and the left muscle will be relaxes. Same thing goes when they move to the left hand side. When they move to the left hand side, the left myotom block muscle will be contract. Yeah, here will be contract and the right hand side will be relaxes. This will cause the both muscle work antagonistically, and at the same time you can see here when the fish is moved to the right hand side, the tail will be whipped to the right, and when the fish will be moved to the left hand side, the tail will be whipped to the left. Now let me see bird. See, bird also is under endoskeleton here, and they can able to fly. So to make the bird fly, they also need a pair of muscle, and these muscles are consist of pectoralis major muscle and pectoralis minor muscle. So these both muscle also have to work antagonistically. So if you look at here, this is the sternum of the bird, and this is their wings. So the pectoralis minor will be this one. Okay, and this is a pectoralis major. So to make the bird to fly, the wings have to move upward and have to move downward. So you just focus on this major. Focus on the major. Alright. So I can teach you that in a simple way. Let's say again, I give you example here. This is you, example, and your hand. This is your hand here. When the wings is moved upward, that means you bring your hand upward. When you bring your hand upward, you can see the length in between your hand, this length until to your body. It will be increases. So how it increases? Increases means what? Relaxes. You can try. Wings will be represent your hand. Put your hand up, and you can see the major. The length in between your body and your hand will be increases. So when the length is increases, that shows relaxes. So relaxes, pectoralis major. That's why I said focus on major, and automatically we know that the pectoralis minor will be contract, and this will cause the both muscle work antagonistically. Same thing when you put your hand downward. Look at here. What happened to the major? Pectoralis major will be contract, and at the same time the pectoralis minor will be relaxes, and this will cause the muscle work antagonistically. So this is the easiest way that you can understand. You cannot memorize all together. If you memorize all together, finish. We will just miss up here and there. So I can give you a simple suggestion. I hope you can understand. Just use your hand up and down. If you move up, major will be increases, the length will be increases. That shows the major pectoralis muscle will be relaxes. When you put your hand downward, the length in between the hand and the body will be smaller, so it will be contract. I hope you can understand. Right, now let me see earthworm. So earthworm are under hydrostatic skeleton. So they use their body fluid, they will use their keta, and they will have a pair of muscles. So you see here, this is how the earthworm look like. So what we learn in form 2, the earthworm have segments body, and each segments of the body are consists of keta. And you can see the keta using your naked eye. Yeah? And the function of the keta is to grip the ground when they want to move forward. So they also have a pair of muscles which is known as a longitudinal muscle and circular muscle. So to make you to understand, I'll just draw longitudinal muscle. Their muscle look like long and circular muscle look like circle. So this both muscle also will be work antagonistically. That shows if one muscle contract, the other muscle will be relaxes. So when we want to talk about the movement of the earthworm, you just focus on longitudinal muscle. Now let me see how the earthworm can be moved. Right, let me see here. This is how the movement of the earthworm. So when they move forward, let's say this is their head here. So the chete will be grip the ground. You look at here, it will be grip the ground. And you can see there are two type of movement here. First, this segment will become shortened. And this segment will become extend. So that shows the earthworm during their locomotion, the certain segment will be shortened, the certain segment will be extend. So what happens when the segments will be shortened? Okay, when the segment becomes shortened, the longitudinal muscle, as what I told you before, remember on the longitudinal muscle, shorten means become shorter. So longitudinal muscle will become shorter. That shows contract. And circular muscle automatically will become relaxes. This shows the muscle work antagonistically. During explanation about this locomotion, please don't forget to write end of the sentence. Both muscle work antagonistically. Now, what happened when they extend? When the segment is extend means getting longer. So, again, let me see what happened to the longitudinal muscle. Longitudinal muscle will be extend, which means relaxes. And what happened to the circular muscle? Circular muscle will be contract. And this will cause the both muscle work antagonistically. I hope you can understand, student. Okay, now let me go to grasshopper. So grasshopper is under exoskeleton. Yeah, they have 3 pairs of legs. And the grasshopper can able to crawl, they able to fly, and they also able to jump. So they want to jump, they need a very important part of leg, which is known as their hind leg. This is their hind leg. and their hind leg are very strong and muscular leg. Let's see how they look like. So you see here, their hind leg, as what I told you, they have a muscular leg. Their leg consists of muscles, and their muscles are known as a flexor muscle and extensor muscle. So I maybe can link this muscular hind leg of the grasshopper with our arm. So you just imagine our arm. This is your arm. Example, yeah. Maybe my drawing is not good. This is your arm. Contoh, ya. So now you put the arm upside down, and before that, you know this is biceps, and this is our triceps. So biceps also got another name, which known as flexor. Triceps also got another name known as extensor muscle. For human, we can use flexor muscle. We also can use a biceps muscle. But for grasshopper, we use only flexor and extensor. So now, you put your hand upside down. When you put your hand upside down, okay, now you can try, you put your hand upside down, like this. Okay, so here will be your biceps, here will be your triceps, is it? So the biceps represent the flexor and the triceps represent the extensor. If you understand this, I think you got no problem in locomotion of grasshopper. Okay? Alright, now we want to see for jumping what the grasshopper will do. So you remember this, yeah? Okay, let's see. When the grasshopper want to jump, they will undergo two processes. First, they have to prepare to jump. Second, they will jump. So during preparation, the hind leg will be looked like Z shape. Okay, so this one is their flexor muscle, and this one is extensor muscle. Okay, so we know that flexor, extensor, same as our arm, biceps and triceps. Okay, so please remember what we already learned when you bend our arm. What happened to our biceps? When you bend your arm, your biceps will be contract. Same thing here. When they prepare to jump, the hind leg will be folded, so the flexor muscle will be contract. And the extensor muscle will be relaxes. And this will cause the both muscle work antagonistically. You don't need to memorize also. You only have to memorize about your arm. Okay? When they jump, you see here, their hind leg will become straightened. And what happened to the flexor muscle and extensor muscle? Also same, when you straighten your arm. When you straighten your arm, your flexor muscle will be relaxes. And your extensor muscle will be contract, causing the both muscle work antagonistically. So for grasshopper, I think very easy to understand. You just memorize about human bending and straightening of our arm. But the thing is, you have to know that the flexor, also known as a biceps, extensor known as a triceps. Right, let me do the exercise. So we start with the first question. Diagram 8.1 and diagram 8.2 shows two organisms. Both organisms have skeletal system and shows unique mechanism of locomotion. Movement and locomotion are produced by contraction of antagonistic pair muscles and is aided by their structure. Based on a diagram 8.1a and 8.1b, complete the table below. Now let's see the answer. The type of skeleton in diagram 8.1a is hydrostatic skeleton. Antagonistic muscle pairs in diagram 8.1b is left and right myotome muscles. Morphological structure other than antagonistic muscle that aid locomotion is tail, or you also can use fin. Right, number 2. When organism in diagram 8.1a is put on a smooth white tile, the peristaltic movement of the body segment occurs, but it cannot move away and maintain the position. Explain. Now let's see the answer. So the marks given there is 2, and here we are giving you 4 points. So we will choose either 2. If any 2 of the answer is there, you will get 2 marks. So let me see point 1. Contraction of the longitudinal muscle make anterior or the posterior earthworm become thicker and shorter. So this is also is optional, whether you want to use anterior or the posterior. This is only shows the position of the earthworm only. As you know, anterior is the front part and the posterior is the back part. Right, point number 2. The kete of the anterior and the posterior part of the body cannot anchor to the tile. And point number 3, causes the posterior part of the earthworm cannot pull forward. And point 4, earthworm cannot move from the tiles area. Right, question number 2. Diagram 10.2 shows the movement of the grasshopper and earthworm. Explain 1 similarity and 2 differences between the skeletal system in both organisms. So marks given is 3 marks. That shows you must give 1 similarity and 2 differences. Let's see the answer. Let's see the answer. First we start with similarities. So the question asks only 1 similarity. Here is the 3 sample answers. So let's see one by one. So point 1 here, both grasshopper and earthworm have skeletal system. Both grasshopper and earthworm have a pair of muscles. Point 3, both grasshopper and earthworm's muscle work antagonistically. So this is the right way how to answer similarity. So you must start with both, and what they ask, whatever and whatever, then you put the point. So that is the right way to answer. Now let's see this. If you see the differences, the question asks 2 differences. But here in a sample answer, we provide you 4 answers. Let's see one by one. Okay, for differences, there are 2 ways to answer. Number 1, this is the way, write in a sentence. Number 2, you can write in a table. But when you want to write in a table, make sure you write your table consists of 2 columns. 1 column for grasshopper, the another column for earthworm. And your sentence in each point must be a complete sentence. Okay, let's see first difference. Grasshopper has exoskeleton, while earthworm have hydrostatic skeleton. Muscles in a grasshopper are flexor and extensor muscle, while muscle in earthworm are circular and longitudinal muscle. Grasshopper movement is jumping, while the earthworm movement in a wave of peristalsis along the body. And the last differences, grasshopper use leg, while earthworm use keta to anchor the body. So we choose 1 similarity and any 2 differences to get a full mark. Okay, question B. Diagram 10.3 shows the skeletal system of the pigeon nestling. However, muscle Q in this pigeon nestling is not fully developed in the growth process. Identify the muscle P and muscle Q. Explain how the abnormal conditions shown affect its movement. So the marks given is 4. But the question they ask is 2. First, they ask you to identify muscle P and Q. The second one, they ask you to explain how the abnormal condition can affect. Let's see the answer. And do check your answer with the sample answer. Okay, let's see the answer. Point 1. P is a pectoralis major muscle. Point 2. Q is a pectoralis minor muscle. So these 2 points we already answered the first question. Now second question, the answer, Q or the pectoralis minor muscle cannot contract. Point 4. P or pectoralis major muscle cannot relaxes. Point 5. Tendon of the pectoralis minor muscle cannot transmit pulling force to the upper side of humerus. Point 6. Humerus cannot lift upward. Point 7. Wings cannot pull upwards. Point 8. Cannot provide the leaf bird. And the last point, young pigeon cannot fly. So here got 9 points, but the marks given is 4. Whatever it is, the first 2 points is very important because this is the answer for the first question. Then the balance will be the second answer. So if you see the second question, they ask the effect. And if you see point 3 until point 9, all talking about cannot, that shows negative answer. So which means here, from here you can see, if the question asks anything related to negative question, what is the effect, what happen if this is absent and all that, you must mention about in a negative way. Okay, I hope you can understand. If you got anything, you can ask here. Okay, I think that's all, student. I end up my slot here. I hope you all can understand for what I got teach you from the beginning until now. So if you got any question, you may ask me, or you may ask your bio teacher also. Thank you so much for your cooperation. Thank you and all the best.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, students. Now we are going to revise Chapter 11. The topic is Inheritance. With me, Puan Rosakina binti Kasim from SMK Berchap. In this chapter, you are going to meet with many new terms, such as gene, allele, dominant, recessive, genotype, phenotype, trait, characteristic, homozygous and heterozygous. You should really understand the meaning of each terms so that it will be easier for you to answer the question in this chapter. Now, difference between gene and allele. Gene is a basic unit of inheritance. So, if you look at the diagram of these two chromosomes, you can see there are three different letters, P, A, and B, which located at different position or location. So these are known as gene. But for the last one, okay, we have capital B and small b. So this one is known as allele. What is allele? Allele is the different form of the same gene. Next, what is the difference between characteristic and traits? So characteristic referring to the heritable features, while the trait referring to the variations in the characteristic. This picture shows you two boys with different characteristics and traits. So what are the characteristics can be listed from the pictures? These are some of the examples. Alright, we have the hair type, earlobe type, eye color, height, skin color, and blood group. How about the trait for each characteristics? So these are some of the examples. The hair type can be either curly or straight, earlobe can be attached free, and so on. Okay, including the blood group, it can be either A, B, AB, or O. Next, we have dominant allele and recessive allele. Do you know what is the difference between these two alleles? Okay, dominant allele is normally represented with capital letter, and it will always show its trait when it is present. While for recessive allele, it represented with small letter and it shows its traits only when both alleles are recessive allele. Okay, now how about homozygote? Homozygote refers to a pair of same allele at the same locus. So you see the word same is highlighted here. Homozygote can be dominant or homozygous recessive. So look at these three sets of chromosomes. The first set, set 1, consists 2 capital A. Second set, set 2, consists 2 small a. And the last set, set 3, consists 1 capital A and 1 small a. So which one referring to homozygous dominant? Okay, check the meaning. Homozygous should be a pair of same allele. So this one is same allele, A, capital A and capital A for set number 1. Since this one consists capital A, it is known as homozygous dominant. For set number 2, okay, both are represented by small letter, which is small a, so it is known as homozygous recessive. While for set 3, it consists different, not different letter, but one is capital letter, another one is small letter, but both are still A. So this one is known as heterozygote, a pair of different alleles at the same locus. Next, let's look at what is the difference between phenotype and genotype. Okay, phenotype is the physical or the observable characteristic, and given example here like the tall or short, curly or straight hair, it is the characteristic that can be observed, that can be seen. Okay, but there is also phenotype which cannot be seen from the physical appearance, such as the blood group. How about genotype? Genotype refer to the genetic compositions or the code to refer to the physical characteristic or the phenotype. For example, like what is given here. So these are known as genotype. Okay, so you have learned a few terms just now. Let's try the following question. Question number 1. The diagram shows a pair of homologous chromosomes. See where the line is pointed to one dot on one chromosome. So what is P? P referring to C, allele. Okay. Next question. Which of the following terms is defined as alleles at loci of a pair of homologous chromosomes are different. Okay, so you see the key words or the words that I already highlighted here, alleles, but different allele. So which one is the best answer to suit the statement? Yes, the answer is C, heterozygous. Next, number 3, which of the following terms defines the physical characteristic of an organism? Physical is highlighted here. So the answer is B, the phenotype. Okay, students, well done. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, in inheritance, students should know about two laws, okay, which is Mendel's first law and Mendel's second law. What is stated in Mendel's first law? In Mendel's first law, it stated that a characteristic of an organism is controlled by a pair of alleles, and only one of the allelic pair is inherited in a gamete, which means, okay, each of the gamete can only carry one allele, right? Next, for the Mendel's second law, it stated that during gamete formation, each allele from a pair of alleles can combine randomly with any allele from another pair of alleles. Okay, let's look at one example of monohybrid cross. Monohybrid cross only involve one characteristic. Let's look at the question. What is the genotype of the offspring in the F1 generation in a monohybrid cross between homozygous dominant BB, capital B, cross with homozygous recessive small b's? Okay, you can solve this question by using schematic diagram. So to draw the schematic diagram, first you need to list the genotype of the parent. So the genotype of the parent is already given in the statement. B, capital B, okay, with small b. Next, separate the gametes. Okay, as stated in the Mendel's first law, each gamete can only carry one allele. So I already separate the gamete and write the gamete in a circle. Each circle is labeled with 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is not necessary. I just label the circle as a guide for you to get the genotype for the offspring. So this is how you get the genotype for the offspring. The first circle, you have to combine circle number 1 with circle number 3, combine the gametes, and you will get the genotype for the offspring in the F1 generation. Okay, you just have to follow this one, and lastly, you will get the answer. So the answer here, all the F1 generation or the offspring will carry same genotype, which is heterozygous. And the answer is A, 100% are heterozygous. Do you understand? Good. Okay, students, let's try another question about monohybrid cross. The question is, two tall plants which is heterozygous is crossed. What is the percentage of short plants obtained, given capital T is the dominant allele for tall? Okay, by using the schematic diagram, let's solve this question. First, you need to write the genotype of the parent. Okay, since the parent is heterozygous, this is how you write the genotype for the parents. One capital T, one small t. Next, separate the gametes. The process involved here is the meiosis, class. After that, you can get the genotype for the offspring, okay, by using the formula given 1314, 2324, and write down the phenotype of each offspring. So, as you can see here, we will get 3 tall plants and one short plant. So the ratio or the percentage to have a short plant is like this, 1/4 times 100, and you will get the answer 25%. So the answer is D. Okay, students, now let's move on to human inheritance. Okay, let's look at this diagram. This is known as karyotype. So, what is karyotype? The number and structure of chromosomes present in the cell nucleus. And this one, the karyotype for human. As you can see here, there are 23 pairs for human. The first pair, number 1, to the pair number 22 is known as autosomes. Autosome control all the characteristics carried by the somatic cell. So these are all known as autosome. How about the last pair? The last pair is known as sex chromosome. It determines the gender or the sex of the organism. Now students, let's look at the problems related to genetic or inheritance. But first, you need to know the factors that lead to the problems. The first one is non-disjunction. Second is genetic mutation. And the third one is sex-linked inheritance. What is non-disjunction? Non-disjunction refers to the failure in the formations of spindle fiber during anaphase 1 or anaphase 2. And this will cause the change in the chromosome number. Why? Because the chromosome failed to separate during anaphase 1 or anaphase 2. Now, what are the consequences? So it can lead to Down syndrome, where the person has extra chromosome at pair number 21. So the total chromosome will be 47. Next is Turner syndrome, where the person is lack one chromosome, which is missing one X chromosome. So the total number of chromosome is 45. And the last one is Klinefelter syndrome, where this person has extra, so the total number of chromosome is 47. For the second factor, which is genetic mutation, this referring to the gene mutations which occurs on the autosomes. Do you still remember what is autosome? Autosome refers to the chromosome pair number 1 to pair number 22, and it is an inherited disease. So what are the diseases? The first one is thalassemia and sickle cell anemia. Last but not least is albinism. Okay, for the sex-linked inheritance, why we call it sex-linked inheritance? Because the genes, it involves the genes that located at the sex chromosome. What is sex chromosome? Okay, it referring to the X chromosome or the Y chromosome. And this caused by the recessive allele located on the X chromosome. Normally, this disease or the sex-linked inheritance refer to the X chromosome, which allele. So what are the diseases related to sex-linked inheritance? The first one is hemophilia and second is color blindness. Okay, these are the effects of non-disjunction during meiosis. We have three examples of karyotype here. Look at the first karyotype. What is the difference or the abnormalities that you can identify from the first karyotype? Yes, you can see here the pair number 21 has extra one chromosome. So this one is known as Down syndrome, where the person will have 47 chromosome with extra one chromosome at number 21. How about the second karyotype? Yes, you can see here the difference or the abnormalities is at the sex chromosome. You can see there is only one X chromosome. So this syndrome is known as Turner syndrome, and the number of chromosomes carried by this person is only 45 chromosome, which is 44 autosome plus X0. While for the third karyotype, where is the abnormalities? Yes, also at the sex chromosome. This one, the person carry extra one X chromosome. So the name of this disease or the syndrome is known as Klinefelter syndrome. The total chromosome is 47 chromosome, and this is how you write it, 44 plus XXY. Okay, let's look at an example of question related to the inheritance in human. Which genetic disorder is caused by a sex-linked gene? Sex-linked gene referring to sex-linked inheritance. So, which one is the answer, students? Yes, the answer is B, color blindness. Okay, students, now let's look at about human blood group. For human, we have the ABO blood group, which is controlled by three allele, allele A, B, and also allele O. Allele A and B are dominant alleles, while O is recessive allele. So, for the phenotype or the blood group for human, it can be either A, B, AB, and O. Then, the genotype is written like what is shown in the table. Okay, we use the letter I for the blood group. Beside the blood group, we also have another factor. It is known as rhesus factor. What is rhesus factor? Rhesus factor referring to the antigen D that can be found on the red blood cell. So those with the antigen D are known as rhesus positive, and those without the antigen D is known as rhesus negative. Between rhesus positive and rhesus negative, which one is the dominant? Yes, rhesus positive is the dominant allele, while rhesus negative is the recessive. And the genotype for both rhesus can be seen in the table here, how to write it, okay? There is a note about rhesus factor. So when a mother is rhesus negative and the mother is pregnant with fetus with rhesus positive, miscarriage can occur. Okay students, since we have just learned about the ABO blood group, can we try to answer this question? Alright, blood group in humans is determined by 3 alleles, A, B, and O. What is the possible genotype for a person having a blood group B? Given to you the 4 choices. So can you guess what is the answer? Good, the answer is B, 2 and 3. Okay, now let's try another one. A girl has blood group A and her brother has blood group O. Which are the possible genotypes of the parents? Okay, there is a note given at the bottom. To get blood group O, both parents must have recessive allele, which is the O. So, which one is the answer? The answer is D. Okay, let's try question 7. A boy has blood group A and his sister has blood group B. Which is the correct combinations of genotypes belonging to their parents? Have you found the answer? The answer is A. Okay, how about this one? A married couple has different rhesus factors. Their first child is a rhesus positive. All the subsequent pregnancies end with miscarriages. Determine the rhesus factors for the parents and the miscarriage fetus. As a note given here, when the mother is rhesus negative and the fetus is rhesus positive, miscarriage can occur. So, your duty is to find out which mother has rhesus negative and positive. So, what is the answer, students? Yes, this answer is B. The mother is rhesus negative, the miscarriage fetus is rhesus positive, and the father is rhesus positive. Very good, students. Okay, students, let's solve a problem of blood group inheritance. Okay, look at the question. A husband is heterozygous for blood A, while his wife is blood O. Show the inheritance of blood groups in their children using a schematic diagram. The marks given for this question is 4 marks, which is quite high, and you need to draw a schematic diagram for the answers. First, you need to list the parent, which involve the father and the mother. Based on the statement given, you know that the genotype for the father is heterozygous for blood A, and the mother is blood O. After that, okay, through meiosis, you will get the gametes. These are, and through fertilization, you will get the genotype for the child. So these are the genotype for the child. After that, you have to list the phenotype of the child. So what are the phenotypes of the child? Okay, 2 of them is blood A and another 2 is blood O or type O. How about the ratio? Ratio is 1 to 1. Okay, how to make it easier for you to memorize the things written or should be written on the left side? Like this one, parents, genotype, meiosis, gamete, fertilization, and so on. How to make it easier? How to ensure that you don't forget about this thing? Okay, here I have one tips on how to memorize it. Okay, I use a mnemonic methods. Okay, so the words that we need to write are parent, genotype, meiosis, gamete, fertilization, genotype. So I take the first two letters for each words. So this is how I create the mnemonic. Papa, get me a game for a genius photo. So Papa, Pa is the parent, G is the genotype, me referring to the meiosis, game, Ga is the gamete, 4 is the fertilization, G is the genotype again, and lastly PH refer to the phenotype. Alright, if you think this one is useful, you can use it. Okay students, let's try to solve another problem of thalassemia inheritance. The question, a husband and wife are carriers of thalassemia. Show the inheritance of thalassemia in their children by considering TH as the dominant allele and small th as the recessive allele. Okay, so do you still remember about the T? Okay, Papa, get me a game for a genius photo. So by using that one, you know the first thing to write is the parent. So the parent includes or consists of the father and mother. Write the genotype for the parents. Okay, so given in the statement, the husband and wife are carriers of thalassemia. What is meant by carriers? Carriers mean they are heterozygotes. So for heterozygotes, this is how we write the genotype. Okay, next, you have to write the process involved to get the gametes. Okay, for the gametes, you will have these two types of gametes. Alright, next, after the gametes is another process which is fertilization. So for the fertilization, it involves the cross between the gametes and you will get the genotype. So these are the genotype of the child. Okay, after that, don't forget to write the phenotype for each child. So the first one, can you tell me the answer? Very good. So we have one normal child, 2 thalassemia minor or heterozygotes, okay, and the last child is thalassemia major because this child carries both recessive allele. Okay students, now do you understand how to solve a problem about inheritance? Very good. Okay students, now let us try to solve another problem, but this time involving color blindness inheritance. Okay, for color blindness, it is one disease or conditions caused by the sex-linked inheritance. So first, let's look at the question. A man with normal vision married a woman who is heterozygote for color blindness. Calculate the percentage for this couple to have a colorblind child. B is the and small b is the recessive allele. Okay student, look at the notes given. Okay, for sex-linked inheritance, we need to use XY or XX for the genotype. This one referring to the sex chromosome. Okay, first, you have to write the parents, which involve the father and mother. As we all know, the father is normal vision and the woman or the mother is heterozygote. So this is how you write the genotype for both parents. So next is the meiosis. To get the gametes, after that is fertilization. And from the fertilization, you will get the genotype for the offspring or for the child. Okay? So can you tell me what is the phenotype for the child? And can you answer the question, the percentage for this couple to have a color-blind child? Yes, for the genotype, you have to list or you have to identify the child phenotype. So from here, you can see you have one normal girl, one carrier girl, one normal boy, and one colorblind boy. To calculate the percentage, So these are the ratio. To calculate the percentage, it will be 1/4 times 100. So the answer is 25%. Okay, next, let's try to solve this one. The following information shows the alleles belonging to a pair of married couple. B, capital B, is the dominant allele for normal eyesight, and small b is the recessive allele for color blindness. Which of the following clauses produces male progeny who all have color blindness? Okay, student, for this one, I'm giving you a tip. The tip is, if the mother is colorblind, all the sons or the male child will have colorblind. So from this tip, can you identify which one is the mother that's showing the mother is colorblind? Yes, so now the answer is D. Well done, student. Okay, student, we have another condition or problem caused by sex-linked inheritance, which is hemophilia. Do you know what is hemophilia? You have learned about it in Form 4. Okay, let's look at the situation. A normal man married a hemophilic woman shows the inheritance using schematic diagram. H is the dominant allele and small h is the recessive allele. The note given here for you to use XY or XX for the genotype of the parents and also for the child. Let's try to solve the problem. First, you need to write the parent. The parent given, the father is a normal man while the mother is hemophilic. Now, how to write the genotype for the parents? So, these are the genotype for the parents. Okay, now, what is the next step that you need to write? Yes, gametes. Okay, through meiosis, we will have the gametes. Okay, given to you one example of the gametes, and you need to find out the other 3 gametes. Okay, through fertilization, you will get the genotype of the child. Next, you have to identify the phenotype for each child. Can you solve the problems? Okay, student, if you manage to solve the problem, you will have an answer like this. You will get one girl, which is a carrier. The second girl, also a carrier. The third and the fourth boys are hemophilics. And the ratio for this is 1:1. Well done, student. Alright, student. Now, let's try this objective question. Which genetic disorder is caused by a sex-linked gene? Okay, as we discussed just now, gene, it can cause 2 conditions or problem, which is hemophilia and another one is color blindness. So the answer is B. Very good. Students, now we have come to the last question. Diagram 15 shows color blindness in pedigree of a family. Color blindness is a sex-linked trait caused by a recessive allele. Alright, so again we have come with sex-linked trait. So the note, do you still remember? For sex-linked, you have to use XX or XY for the genotype. Okay, if you study the pedigree of this family, you can see most of the male suffer colorblind, while the females are normal. Now, what are the genotypes of individual M and N? Can you find the answer? Okay, students, the answer for this question is B. Okay, I hope all of you can get the answer. Okay, students, now we have come to the end of this session. I hope all of you benefited from today's program. Before I leave, I would like to share one quote with all of you. Success doesn't come to you. You go to it. That's all from me. Thank you.